we still could sniff each other out. Let me bring up my next guest. He calls himself Flat Earth Eric. I don't think I'm acquainted with you, Flat Earth Eric. By the way, let's bring you up. Welcome to Z Show. What do you got for us, good sir?
How's the audio?
Good. 5 by 5.
All right, good. Yeah, listen, I'm new to your content. I've been following Stavely for a little while, and he featured your thing on Rose 777, and I watched all that, and then you said she was on Rockfin, so I looked at the whole program. I'm going to try this. I guess it'll work out fine. From what you say about your flat Earth journey, I think that requires a lot of respect. And I'm just going to drop this here. I've been talking about it. I've made it my mission that I am going beyond South Antarctica on airships. And I'm talking about it in places like this, so we can start a discussion and start figuring out about it. And I'd like to get your comments.
All right. Well, I like where you're going with this, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So first off, you sound American. You in the U.S. or what?
South Carolina, North Carolina.
North Carolina, right on. I'm in South Jersey, southern New Jersey.
Yeah, I looked it up this morning.
Right on. Now, you say airships.
Right.
Let's start there. Do you have a theory on why airships were discontinued? Do you see the Hindenburg as basically a false flag to basically launch the movement away from airship technology? Go ahead.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They had to get rid of those because airplanes were a better commodity. I can't prove it, but that's my operating theory.
Great. Okay, so you have a mission. You want to go beyond. So here's the logistics of what you're talking about. My chat is asking if you have a channel. Do you have a channel you want to promote?
I don't.
Gotcha. So let's talk logistics here, and then we can just take the conversation wherever it goes.
Good.
So as far as logistics, are there any current companies, or how many, that make airships, design airships? Have you looked into it? Let's start there.
Yeah, I haven't researched that. I don't have those results. The best I know right now is that Goodyear has 8 blimps, and they move some of them in and out of football games and other events for publicity. And so it's an active technology. There's probably a whole lot of invisible stuff in the sky that we never notice or recognize. I don't know. Your point about logistics is very significant. It's going to be a huge expedition enterprise. The logistics are going to be tremendous. The finance is going to be tremendous. The engineering, but we got to start somewhere, and that's what I'm doing.
Right on. What do you conjecture for the fuel? Helium, hydrogen? Because I'd imagine there's going to have to be mechanisms to produce fuel. There's no refilling stations in the Antarctic. What do you propose?
There's no shortages of anything around here. They just artificially claim that. So whatever the engineering team decides is better, helium or hydrogen, we'll do that. We can produce anything we want to. And, if we get popular, we'll just make the government provide it. When you say fuel, you're talking about floating the ship, right?
Well, 2 things. One, you have to have, I don't know if you would need to be able to reproduce the gas, whether it's helium, hydrogen, or otherwise. I don't know if, you could just have enough to get there, if that would need to be replaced. But certainly the fuel that's propelling the craft, right? You think that would need to be replaced at some point, or produced in a sense, if you're using maybe even hydrogen, or I don't know.
That's
I don't know if
good point.
I've
never thought of that before. That in route you have to replenish the balloon. I haven't considered that before, but I'm sure that's known technology.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you would need to replace the gas within the actual balloon itself, or it just seems like you would need some, obviously your fuel is going to be some kind of a logistical issue to work out. And then of course there would be the resistance from the militaries from these so-called countries that would
Right.
you can't, I mean, come on, like we all know in these communities about the Antarctic Treaty of 1959, I believe it
Right.
was. I'd imagine it's not just watercraft. I'm sure aircraft would be considered a similar incursion in terms of the treaty. What are your thoughts there?
Well, it's going to be a process, a timeline. It's going to be a progression on the spectrum. We get started and see how far we get. Maybe we get in the air, and maybe we get down to wherever we start from. Maybe we'll start from Chile or start from Patagonia, south of Argentina. And maybe we'll start from Australia. We'll see. We got to get to a certain point before we have to worry about being shot out of the sky.
Let me ask you this. What about the idea of a drone, even if it is an airship, unmanned, multiple of them? They'd have to be much smaller. I mean, they could be much smaller, just out there with cameras, real ones, transmitting. I don't know what the transmission distance would be on, some type of camera using particular radio wave technology. Did you ever think of that? Unmanned missions?
That's a brilliant idea. I have heard one guy mention drones, but he was talking about toys. You make me think, because I believe you're a serious person and a serious flat earther. We could use full size craft that are drone enabled, because they fly anything unmanned now. So yeah, that's a great idea. Be a third or less the cost, maybe a quarter of the cost if you didn't have to provide for crews. However, I guarantee you I'm going to be on one of them. I am going.
You're going on the airship. Nice.
I'm going.
Nice. Well, it's funny because if you saw my spot on Rose 777 last weekend, you saw Dave Weiss was on, and a lot of people get on him about making money off flat earthers, but he said, hey, you should be glad that he's making money because he wants to reinvest it. He said he wants to make $1 billion and then he'd be able to invest in stuff like this. Have you ever thought of the idea? Because this would obviously have to be a collective effort. Obviously, finances is key. There's a lot to go into it, but I'm sure money's going to be the biggest one. But now let me talk to you, because there's a lot of flat earthers.
Slow down. I got to answer that. I am not. This has got to be a new thing, and I'm not riding on anybody's coattails. I don't need to get money from Dave, or, God knows how much Karen's getting out of those conferences. And so it's going to be new money. There's plenty of money out there. I'm sure you're familiar with this. There's guys all over New Jersey with stacks of money, and guys all over California and Montana and Florida. There's plenty of money in the world to do this. We just got to get the program started, and you're helping with that right this minute. So yeah, I'm not going to be trying to get anything out of Dave's pocket. He's got his
good
own
for you,
operation.
dude. Good for you. He is Jewish. And if you try to pull shekels out of a Jew's pocket, sometimes they can get a little rough, dude. Just I understand why you wouldn't want to be reaching into his pocket. I get that.
Okay, even if they volunteer, you still lose control. So it's not about Jew. It's about Dave's got his own operation. He's getting tremendous things done. I'm full support of his work. So this has got to be a new thing, not because of hats.
Right. What do you say about like the Nathan Oakleys of the world? I'm sure you're familiar with Nathan Oakley. Are you? It doesn't matter. Either way, he's a flat earther, and he would, when he starts hearing stuff about outer lands, he loses his mind, because they'll say, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Let me ask you, what evidence can you present that there are outer lands? I'd love to hear it.
It's all circumstantial. It's all the usual stuff flat earthers know from the YouTube videos and from listening to Dave Weiss. And the rest of them. I didn't even know who Nathan Oakley was until 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when this fight broke out between him and Jaron. And, I don't care anything about Nathan Oakley. It's just the whole scandal seems to have started when Oakley started making personal insults against some flat earth content creators. And it looks like maybe he's just trying to line his pockets with, gawkers on his stream. And I don't care about Nathan Oakley. Everybody I talk to about this, and I've done it several times, the first thing they do is start asking about obstacles, and we're going to figure out all the obstacles and overcome them. I don't pay attention to that. If Oakley's an obstacle, he's no concern of mine.
Let me ask you about your thoughts on Admiral Byrd. In his comments there in the mid-1950s when he was on that TV show, and he mentioned that there are lands beyond the South Pole on the other side of South America, uncharted lands with resources and bigger than the Americas. What do you make of his comment there? Was he alluding to some of the stuff we're talking about, or was he just talking about, the Antarctica that they present to us through the globe and just people misinterpret it as he said more lands? What are your thoughts on that and Admiral Byrd in general?
Yeah, I'll give you some response to that. But first, let me ask you if you looked at my background.
You're asking me if I've seen your background?
Behind me now on the screen.
It says Airship South Beyond.
Okay, do you ever go to Telegram?
No, it's funny. A lot of people are on Telegram, but I'm not. Go ahead.
Okay, this is the Telegram channel for what we're talking about right now.
All right, so it's a Telegram channel, and it's just called Airships South Beyond. Is that what it is?
Correct. Yeah.
So you're saying
so we need folks to gather.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We need folks to gather and get started. We got to initiate this and then build it. There's going to be engineers and financiers, accountants. There's going to be logistics and operational people, and it'd be nice if we could just have a talk with a current active airship pilot. They're out there. They're guys that are doing it, and so we should just try to find some people that are involved and begin conversations. We got a lot of directions to go. The end result is pretty clear, but it's a big project. It's going to be very hard. If you want, I'll go to Admiral Byrd.
Yeah, tell me what you think about Admiral Byrd.
Looks to me like, from what I can interpret, that he was presented to the public by the cabal or deep state or whatever you call it, and then they had a change of heart and decided to do something else. Or they fight with each other all the time, so maybe somebody pushed them out of the way, like Scarface and the other guy. Who knows? They pulled Byrd in, and folks got a sample, and he's a good vehicle for us to help people figure out about. It's almost certain there's a crowd of people that aren't talking about stuff that they know for sure about Antarctica and beyond. So as we grow and develop and build, we're going to get leaks from people. We're going to get information from people. We're going to get, and if there's populations beyond Antarctica, they're probably hanging around here keeping tabs on us. We may actually get contact from some of them. Who knows?
So let me ask you on a personal level.
Right.
Look, a lot of us who will have the moxie to call ourselves flat earthers, we know what that entails. There's real life consequences when you just go around when everybody knows you're a flat earther and think you're kooky. What about your life? How has being a flat earther affected your life? How, do people in your everyday surroundings know that you want to basically organize an airship over the Antarctic ice wall into outer lands. How has that affected your real life? What do people think? Friends, family members, otherwise?
Okay, I'll give you the short version. I live in the town where they had the 2017 international conference Robbie Davis put on, and I learned about it because the local media was making fun. I wasn't too good at engineering and the physics and all that stuff. A year ago, April, I heard Dave Weiss on a podcast, and then I started consuming his content. I learned his narrative. Now, whenever I leave the house, I wear a flat earther T-shirt, and I tell anybody who will hold still.
What would you say to people who would say to you that you're basically, oh, how do you know the Earth's flat, or what does it matter? Which is two separate questions. But people who just kind of say, why are you so passionate about it? Who cares if the Earth's flat? Big fucking deal. What do you say to that?
You got to narrow that down for me. You went that's broad spectrum. What do you want me to answer?
Well, basically, I'm trying to get to the social stigma that some of us experience. You know, have you like lost friends, lost family members? Or how do they treat you at family functions? Are you like the pariah? I'm trying to get to that point. You're the personal aspect of it for you.
Yeah, I don't have a big community of friends or family. I grew up in a large family. I had 10 brothers and sisters, but they're dispersed all over. And so it's just me and my wife here in Cary, North Carolina. She's got people in Georgia.
Gotcha. You know, what does your wife think? Come on, man. All of a sudden, you're new to this game, you know? Like last April or around about that time, you come out and you say, hey, wife, I think the Earth is flat. I mean, come on, that's gotta be impactful, man.
She's indifferent to it.
Right. Indifferent.
I've been into conspiracy and scandals as long as I've known her, and she's just averse to any of that. So we have a mutual understanding about, you know, sometimes she'll listen to me, but I don't try to convince her of anything.
Gotcha. That seems to be a lot of the issues. Now, I mean, you know, you're no spring chicken, so, but you could imagine that for many in the so-called community, the impact that it's had on people's lives and relationships and stuff. I remember, like, you know, trying to tell. I was married at the time, and I would try to talk about this stuff with my wife. Man, she was not having it, and to the point where, you know, it could become somewhat of an issue. I know some people work by it. So I get that. It's different for everybody. RT says translation, his wife thinks he's nuts. Exactly, RT.
That's true. I agree with that. He's on target there.
Yeah. No, he's fucking crazy. You know, it could be quite divisive, man.
You know, I learned this from her a long time ago. Everybody in the world is crazy except you and me. And I got my doubts about you.
That's a good one. Nice one.
Yeah.
RT, man, can you picture RT, dude? Can you picture like when this guy's getting ready to like climb aboard the airship to the outer lands, and like his wife like standing there like kissing him goodbye as he's boarding the airship? Like it's like what the fuck's going on? So, dude, I mean,
happened before.
You've kind of like you're kind of new to this game, and you're all in, which I like. I love your enthusiasm for it, and we need guys like you around here doing this. So what's Jay saying? He says it isn't a game. It seems that's how he thinks this. I don't know, Jay. I'm not. This guy seems pretty serious. I don't think.
I don't follow Jay. Ask him what he's talking about.
Yeah. Jay, why don't you come up and ask him? Well, I love it, Eric, because like Jay's been up here a million times, and I have an open panel. You know, instead of him just coming up and asking you and kind of just having a conversation with you. People get scared
Might
off
as
of my
well.
panel because I'm kind of a roughie. I'm sort of no holds barred in my panel. I hold everybody's feet to the fire. And
I kind of checked you out. I'm a little familiar with that.
But here's the thing, man. Like, you're kind of all in. You're all in on this. Now, you're not the only one who understands that it's important to bring Antarctica into this conversation. My interest in Antarctica is many. One is this idea of the
Hold on. You're getting out in outer in the outfield. I want to back up. You ask about something and it just slipped away from me. But I'm gonna about the impact it has on people. I know that several of the top flat Earth content creators have close family members that think they're crazy.
Yeah, man. That's kind of,
and you know the same ones I do. They talk about it, they mention it, but and it may explain why they work so hard, is trying to get it out there so they can get their family back.
Interesting. I mean, that's part of it. It's funny you say that, Eric, and I see you, Jay. I'm going to bring Jay up in a second.
Bring him
up. Eric, the one of the main reasons I do my show is because of what you said. Not saying my family thinks I'm crazy. I'm not sure they know what I think, but I want to leave a record. I want there to be a record when this is all said and done that I was lending my voice to this conversation for what it's worth. And then people can go back. They can go through my material and they can make what they want about it. But at least you and I are speaking about this, Eric. We're not sitting in silence. We're not capitulating to a control matrix that wants to shame us. And we're kind of letting it all hang out. So salutes to you, Eric. Let's bring up Jay. Now, Jay, I believe, I don't like to strawman people's views, but I think Jay is very understanding of these topics.
All right, just bring him up.
Eric, are you the fucking... See, guys, this is why people don't want to come on my show, because now I'm going to scream at Eric. Eric, is your name in the title of the show? Is it Eric's show or is it Z show? No, it's Z show.
You should act right.
Is it the Zetetic Warrior
I'm
channel?
A guest. I'm a guest. You should treat me good.
Yeah, so you're going to tell me. Now I'm going to have to shelf you. Now I'm going to have to put you in the back because people get out of line on my thing. Don't go anywhere, Eric. Don't run off. Don't get butthurt. I like watching boomers up here. All right, he's a flat earth boomer, but he's still going to be a fucking boomer. All right, Jay, let me bring you up because Eric now got on my nerves. I'm going to bring you up in a second, Eric. I know you want the discourse. Calm down. Fucking boomers. What's up, Jay? Talk to me.
Wow, man. Not much. How you been?
Good, man. Good.
I don't know where he's really going with this. Like, I get it.
Well,
like,
Jay, I think he's going. I think he's
look.
Hold on, Jay. I don't want to cut you off, but as I cut you off, listen. I think he's legit. I think he has a desire to organize an expedition using an airship beyond the what he conjectures is the Antarctic rim into the supposed outer lands. I think the guy's fucking legit, dude. Now, go ahead, your thoughts. I don't want to step on you. Then we're going to bring Flat Earth Eric back up. Go ahead, man. My bad.
I just don't think he really is taking in consideration what that really all entails to actually happen. I mean, if he hasn't even really done anything except for put that into his mind to spark it. He hasn't looked about the airships or the people that are about to put their asses on the line and shit. I don't think he has any real repercussions yet from being a flat earther or any of that shit yet for him to even, stand on ground yet about it. I mean, everyone has a good idea.
I was kind of having a similar thought, Jay, where I'm like, okay, he's kind of new to the game. He's in that stage where he's very zealous about the endeavor, and I understand. And like you said, like when I asked him about the stuff with his wife, and he's like, oh yeah, she kind of thinks I'm crazy and stuff. Like I'm like, yeah, be a flat earther for five or 6 more years, Eric, and see if that wife's still standing by your side what happens to your
Yeah.
kids and your cousins and stuff. But that's a separate topic. But I would agree that I like where his mindset is, but it doesn't appear as though he's investigated any of the logistics. When I brought up about the companies making Zeppelins and airships, the the mechanism of the float, what kind of what kind of gases are we talking about? Hydrogen, helium, hot air. What's the deal? How are we going to propel this thing? Fuel. Getting beyond the 60th South fucking parallel, bro. Let's bring Eric up. Come on, Eric. Welcome back. Welcome back, Eric. Talk to Jay. How do you kind of?
Hey, Jay. Glad you're here.
Engage with Jay. Go ahead.
Jay, do you have a question?
Sure.
Go ahead. I love you, Eric. I love guys like you. You got moxie. Go ahead.
All right. Jay, ask a question.
How did you actually get into flat Earth? Besides listening to David Weiss, is that all you came off of this from?
Okay, I'll say it again. I said it before. I live in the town that had one of the international flat Earth conferences in 2017, run by Robbie Davison. And the local media made fun of it. I learned it. You could still find stuff on YouTube then. And because of my approach to conspiracies, I interpreted right away that it was correct, but I couldn't contend with the engineering and the physics and all that math and stuff. Dave does a vernacular narrative, and I was able to learn that. So now I can talk to anybody, a friend or a stranger, and I do every day. And so I just learned how to express it about a year ago, and I talked to everybody. So there's your answer.
So how is your town now?
Regarding
After
what?
that conference, how was your town?
Okay, what's the music in the background going on?
All right, you're gonna produce my show, Eric. Just talk. Just present your
Okay,
shit.
Jay,
turn
what's
my
your
camera
question
on
about
and
the
talk to this
town?
guy. Hold on
How was
a
your
second,
town?
Eric.
How's your town now?
Please shut the
In
fuck
what
up.
regard?
Yo, when Z says shut up, this guy's nuts. Eric, you're gonna come on people's shows, dude. You gotta realize you're in. This isn't the Eric, the new flat Earth fucking show. This is the Z who's been a flat Earth for a long time. Don't think I'm gonna turn it over. I like you, but I'm gonna put you in your fucking boomer place. Jesus, Eric, you're gonna be on my show 3 years from now after your wife leaves you. And you're gonna go through a great divorce. And you're going to be like, oh, God, now I know what this whole goofy stuff about airship did to me. Don't get ahead of yourself, Eric. I'm going to put you in your place. Now, continue with your discourse with Jay. Don't worry about what fucking music I'm playing in the background. And just be glad I'm giving you a platform. Go ahead. Continue. God forbid.
Jay's trying to ask me about my town. I don't understand the question.
Who gives a fuck? You're on a panel. He's putting you.
How was your town?
Questioning because you're a new flat earther, dude. He's questioning your credentials in the flat Earth topic. Because look, you're talking about. You realize outer lands are speculative, Eric. You understand that, right? You just can't assume outer land. Okay, so let him fucking talk. Go ahead. Don't worry about what I play in the background.
Jay,
go ahead. My crowd loves you already. My crowd, look, Christy Lee Doll says she loves you, Eric. She's hot. Look, when his wife finally gets rid of you, you're going to need girls like Christy Lee Dolls. I'd imagine Christy Lee Dolls might entertain you for maybe, a little bit of shekels. Who knows? Some of these ladies are hard up. Who knows?
Let me write that down.
You got Angela Baby Carson. Have you ever checked out this Angela Baby Carson? She does videos in a bathtub. She appears to be quite attractive. I'm just saying, Eric, your wife probably's not going to go along with this airship stuff for too long. So you're going to want to keep your options open. All right, go ahead. Talk. Don't let me get in the way of my own show here, guys. Go ahead. Here we go.
All right, Jay, yesterday I went to a business in town that's operated by one of the senior town council members. And I gave him the flat earth routine. He listened, made a couple of notes, said he'd heard about it before, and that was all. I don't press people if they don't talk. I don't push it on them.
So basically, he just wrote it off, is what he did, right?
Well, you can interpret that however you want to. I feel like, and this is what I tell them. I say, look, this may be too much for you, but I'm letting you know about it because we're growing so fast that pretty soon it's going to be in the mainstream media. And when it is, and you see it, then you'll know what it is. And I'm just giving you the background on it. And I make it something beneficial to them.
We are growing so fast. You mean we as in what you're trying to do, or as in we as in the flat earth?
People coming to the knowledge of flat earth is growing tremendously.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, that's true in a sense. But do you not see the division also and everything else that is going along with this?
What if I do? So what?
So it's not some big ass happy family that is all about oneness and everything now, correct?
So what?
So there are mass problems going on, right? So the problems that you don't even have not even taken the step, right? And then he loads figuring out the logistics of anything, really, right? This is just new.
Jay, I'm an optimist, and I don't stick to problems.
Optimist. You're an optimist, so that's the solution. Yeah. So if we're all optimistic, everything's going to work all itself out, right?
That's just my approach. It's a personal thing. I'm sorry if you don't like it.
Hey, I'm not knocking you about doing this. I'm not knocking you about doing this, but I'm just saying, like you said, you had 10 brothers, right?
10 brothers and sisters.
Kids. I got kids, and my kids. Do you think that everything just went easy, or they didn't say anything to me about that? You know, none of your brothers said anything to you.
Yeah, hold on. See, Eric, I don't think you're coming clean to us about the impact on your life with this stuff. And you're not helping other flat earthers by holding back on this, man, because just to pretend like, oh, yeah, my wife's kind of going along with it, nobody in my family, whatever. Come on, man. You got to realize the real life impact this shit has, man. You got to come clean. Go ahead. Is that what you're trying to get at, Jay, that you feel like he's holding back? Like he's got this front up, like you're going to have to deal with this on an emotional level, Eric. You're going to have to deal with the fucking consequences of coming clean with it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Exactly.
That's good clarification, Z. I appreciate it. Somebody asked me a question about my family. I'll try to answer.
You see, you're one of these guys. I can imagine, Jay, could you imagine like you bring Eric to like a therapy session with like the psychologist? He's the guy that sits there all clammed up with his mouth shut. He's not going to say a word. You're all fucking bound up. You're all bound up, Eric. You got to loosen up a little bit.
Right.
You got to express yourself a little bit, man. You got to, you got to go into it. If you got kids and shit and brothers and sisters, this is a big fucking deal, dude. Come on. What's wrong with you?
No questions.
Just what about your brothers? For instance.
Okay.
Your brothers.
I have 2 brothers living. One's real old. And when I talked to him about it, he said, yeah, I've been hearing about that from my conspiracy crowd for years. I don't believe it. And so I can't, I just let him have that. He found out and he said no. The other one has never responded to it. He's an attorney in Detroit, and he's got his hands full with his career and his families. And he doesn't like talking about my kind of stuff. So, I mean, we're still brothers. We talk and we're friends, but they don't engage. And And I've got 3 sisters that are in a feud with me about the parents' estate, so they don't talk to me about anything. Nobody, and none of my brothers and sisters want to discuss it.
So you have tried to discuss this with them. Is that correct?
Yes,
then?
that's correct.
And so basically you're just the kooky ass brother with this conspiracy theorist. Is that right?
I'm the crazy uncle. I'm the crazy uncle.
And anybody that you know as friends or anything, that I'm assuming you have some friends, maybe.
I'm friends with some of the neighbors, and I have other friends, and I mention it to them if they want to, engage with it. They do. When I first got the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, I started doing meetups. I did Saturday afternoon meetups at a local CAP, 3 months, June, July, and August. And I gathered about 15 people from my county that would come, and we got a Telegram group, and, we exchange links and stuff, but, they figured out Flat Earth. They showed up at the meetup, and, we became friends, but they're all on different.
And they probably don't care about it now, correct?
About what?
You probably don't even talk to them anymore, right?
Well, on Telegram, yeah. And a couple of them are personal friends, but.
Are they into this, or are they just talking to you? They're still into this?
Let me jump in here. Don't
your
go
wife?
anywhere, Eric.
What about your wife's friends?
Hold on a second. Hold on, Eric. Relax. I want to talk to Jay for a second. So, Jay, what's the crux? What are you trying to get at with this guy? Let's get behind your motivations. Like, let me try to say this, and maybe I don't either agree or not or add to it. Is it like, do you kind of see Eric as sort of like new to the game? He's still in the honeymoon phase of Flat Earth, where he's motivated, he's zealous, but he's not maybe at this point understanding the real life impact that embracing a different worldview will have on him. Go ahead. What are you thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, let me put this to you, Jay. Hold on, Jay. And I'm going to bring up in a second, Eric. Is it possible Eric is triggering in you something, because do you feel inadequate? So when you see somebody like Eric, who's so passionate about the subject that he wants to fucking, design and chart a course over the fucking ice wall in an airship, is that triggering something in you where you feels like you're not doing enough to promote your beliefs? Is that possible? I want to investigate your psychology with this. Go ahead.
No, not really. Not really. I mean, I took my hits when I, went with mine, said what I needed to say, to my surrounding inner circles of people and everything, and dealt with the repercussions of, from my family and whatnot. I mean,
all right, so what were the repercussions? Why don't you remind us what kind of stuff went down?
Well, my kids, they're older, and my daughter no longer lives here. She lives in another state, and, which also could cause conflict between her and her soon-to-be husband, and, at the time, because they were living here with me. So that was one of the things.
Right, because everyone thinks you lost your mind, and then you throw the pandemic on top of it, and it's just icing on the fucking cake. We're that much more crazy. It's like, it was like one thing when grandpa or dad was going on about the shape of the earth, but then when things got real, when we're talking about lockdowns, forced medical procedures, et cetera, yeah, shit kind of gets real there, doesn't it? So I get it, Jay, and I kind of know why you're passionate about this. And also, are you kind of seeing Eric as almost like a baby flat earther, because you see that there's the Dave Weiss kind of, let's say, flat earthers, where it's like, yeah, extra lands, and we don't really need to focus on the scientific method. We can conjecture, and we can give models, and we can talk about how, you know, the heavens move above the earth, and we can give you a map. And there's many in the community, because Eric might not even realize that. See, you're bringing up division in the community. Eric might not even see it. And I think you're probably aware of that. Maybe you're up here to show that to Eric, that like, hey, not everybody's on with the other stuff. Not everybody takes the AE Gleason's map as the actual map of the realm, and that there is controversy. Is that what you're trying to get at with him? I'm going to let him back up.
Yes, exactly. That is definitely true.
Let's let him back up. Eric, are you hearing what I'm saying, and how do you respond to this stuff?
Yeah, I don't think Jay figured out what you just told him.
Yes, he did. He understood fine. I talked to Jay a million times.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand that.
Well, I don't care about the division.
Yeah, but are you aware of it? Are you aware that there's, like, you know, different, let's say, flavors of flat earthers? It's not a one size fits all thing. Jay seems to be wondering if you're aware of that situation, whether or not you care about it.
The division I see is that some of them play nice and some of them don't. Eric DeBay has attacked all kinds of content creators.
Well done, Eric. Eric, is it that, or is it they just disagree? Look, Eric, some flat earthers think it makes us look crazy when we talk about lands beyond the ice wall. Now, I can agree with you. I think that that's a compelling story, a compelling argument to be made about other lands, but not everybody's me and you, Eric. There's fucking people that think when people start talking about other lands that's counterintelligence, that's a counter up. You're kind of new to the game. You might not be aware of it. So you look at it as, oh, maybe Eric Dubé's hating on people and trying to cause division, or Nathan Oakley is trying to cause division. Like Eric Weiss had the balls to tell me the other night that he thinks Nathan Oakley's possessed with a demon. Okay. Or it could be that they see people talking about lands beyond the ice wall as actual counterintelligence, trying to make us all look fucking crazy. Eric, if you don't understand this conversation, you're not ready for the conversation, dude. Can you put your fucking boomer ass ego aside long enough to listen to people like me and Jay talking to you? Maybe we'll help you out a little bit. Go ahead. Floor's yours.
Okay. I want to make you the vice admiral of the project in charge of psychoanalysis.
Well, yeah, it should be, because I'm probably the one who's most fit for that job. You got something right there.
Yeah. So you're going to be the vice admiral of the expedition for psychoanalysis of the crew.
Yeah, man, you got to think about these things, dude.
Why?
There's certain ones in the community because it's a legit thing. Because
why?
Because it goes beyond science, and when you start going beyond science, that's how you end up on a globe. Do you understand? When you start talking about,
I don't follow you.
When you start bringing up things that be considered pseudoscience, and you start to conjecture things that have no proof and aren't demonstrable, that's how you end up on a stupid spinning globe. You can't fault people who are dogmatic about the scientific method. If you're not willing to acknowledge this part of the community, you're not ready to acknowledge this fucking endeavor. Go ahead.
You sure seem real excited about something, and I'm not sure what it is. Blindness. Z, you seem real excited about something, but I'm not sure what it is you're so excited about. Okay, excited. Go ahead, Jay.
What do you mean by excited? No, I'm trying to point something out to you.
You were very passionate with that.
Yeah, right, because I'm trying to, first of all, my audience likes when I do that. They think it's funny because it is funny. Secondly, I'm trying to get something through to you because you're going at this in a rather naive mindset. You're not understanding that your biggest resistance with this endeavor is going to be from the quote unquote community itself, dude. Because they're going to think you're making us all look fucking crazy. I don't agree with that, but there's going to be a large segment of the community that's going to basically think you're fucking trying to make us all look cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, dude. Just saying. If you don't know this, I'm trying to teach your boomer ass this right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't care about them.
Well, maybe you should care about him. And that's a
I
problem.
don't
See,
know
that's
why.
and I love Dave
Holy
Weiss, but
shit.
that's my problem with Dave because he took that same attitude with Nathan Oakley. I asked Dave about Nathan, and he was like, "Oh, he doesn't have any fucking subscribers, so what does it matter anyway?" And he's just hating because he's a demon. No, he's ignoring a strong argument. He's ignoring that when we talk about other fucking lands, it's pseudoscience at best. It's spurious, and there could be an argument made that that's a counter op. If you don't fucking see it, if you see, here's the problem, Eric. You're going to sit here and you're going to show the same cog diss that the Globies do. Let me ask you, let's get to what kind of truther Eric is here. Eric, if every man or woman died tomorrow, would Earth still exist?
Yeah, I don't have no idea.
See, you never even asked yourself the fucking question, and that's why we're here doing this to you, Eric.
I've never thought of that. I don't care about it.
Right, because you're a baby truther, and we're calling you out on it right in front of the world. You're a baby truther. You're a baby truther.
All right.
So you want to lead people into their own demise, basically, right? Is what you want to do under some false shit, pretense, whatever you want to tell them.
It's voluntary. Listen, Jay, I want to go, and I'm going to try to work on going. Now, let me just mention to you that I've heard several top flat Earth creators.
I wanted to go too. Okay, I was there too.
Can I finish what I was? It's a sentence.
Yeah,
Jay.
go ahead.
It's a sentence. I'll just finish one sentence, Jay. I've heard several top flat Earth content creators say they are ready for the trip to beyond Antarctica.
I had a mixed reaction to you, Flat Earth Eric. A lot of people liked you yesterday. Other people thought you're completely fucking insane. How did you feel like your appearance went here yesterday?
Well, I was glad to be on the show. How's the audio?
You're good.
All right. Yeah, I don't pay much attention to haters.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I talked about with you yesterday, Eric, is you just, by classifying them as haters, you're basically just placing them in a category that's convenient for you. Okay, like for instance, like this guy James, he came on, he was throwing me weird vibes in the chat, but he came up and I chopped it up. I could have just blocked him, called him a hater, and moved on, but I got to have discourse with him. And he got to point some things out about my personality that I could either take or not, you know? I mean, I could at least listen to them. So don't you find, I'll ask you, like, do you find value in listening to people who made dissent? You want to take an airship across the ice wall. You're going to have dissenters, Eric. If you just classify everybody who's a dissenter as a hater, you're probably going to be very limited in your endeavor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
But
I got to tell you something really strange.
Go ahead.
This moment, I'm having a deja vu from a night dream I had when I was a child.
Right now? You had a night dream about Zetetic Warrior as a child?
Well, I couldn't identify what it was, but now I recognize that it's what I dreamed.
Okay. Well, let's go there.
Let me make it about myself. I'm just kidding.
Let's go there. So, you know, a lot of people just think time is sort of like a construct. Of course, it's a trope to say it, but we think that, you know, we perceive time as linear. Our perception is that time is unfolding in a sequential fashion, but it might be something quite different than that. Who knows, Eric? Who knows?
Right.
Did you get any traction from being on my show yesterday? I don't have like a huge following, but I have a pretty there's people who are kind of really, you know, loyal and stick to the show. Did you get people interacting with you after the show? How'd it go for you?
Folks are taking a look at the Telegram chat. I see your the show from yesterday's got over 500 views. That's very convenient. No telling how far it'll spread. I mainly wanted to tell you about it.
All right. Well, we got started. We've built a relationship. Do I want to be real with you or sticky, Eric? Let me be real. Okay. So the part of my consciousness that's that's adventurous, that's fanciful, my inner child, like our friend Nathan Sanders says, is really like really is kind of like excited about like your endeavor, where you want to go with this. But there's a part of my personality that also is saying, well, how much should I indulge this flat earth Eric? Because in some ways this could be dangerous and it could be counterproductive. Like I said, man, there's going to be a huge segment of the quote unquote flat earth community that are just going to kind of look at you as a goof, and they're going to kind of think you make us look bad, almost like the Flat Earth Society. And
Well,
you probably realize that, but I mean, we could talk about it.
You looking at both sides like that is a pretty strong indication of your intellect. I think yesterday having Jay as a counterpoint was a very valuable element.
Right, because he was an example of he can be used as an example of how many are going to like respond to you. Bro, when you start talking about trips to the outer lands and airships, now I was trying to get behind the psychology with you. Like I was like, okay, like what's your wife going to think when you're kissing her goodbye and that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Aren't you worried about leaving your friends and family and heading off to like Oz, so to speak? Like, how do you picture that moment when you're going to board the airship? You're kissing your wife goodbye. Like, you're saying goodbye to people. You might not fucking come back from that kind of adventure, dude. Like, come on, let's go there.
It's very unlikely that I'll come back whether I get to the outer lands or not.
So here's the thing, Eric. I'm wondering your psychology. Now, we talked yesterday about how many of us in these communities have gone through some trauma, especially in the last 3 years, right? So let's explore this, Eric. I'm wondering if you're to a place now where you just kind of won out and you've developed this fantasy in your mind about jumping on a Zeppelin, on an airship, and making your way out of this world. Is it possible that you're dealing with some kind of almost like a depression? Maybe you're so fed up with this realm that you're willing just to fucking go bye-bye, leave everybody, leave everything, in some fanciful like delusion that you're going to be the navigator beyond the ice wall. Come on, man. Let's go here, dude.
Yeah, I'm not really looking for any recognition. It's a personal thing. I want to get there.
All right. So you're going to assume a lot of things. Like, who says that those realms out there, if they exist, are even habitable, man?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you look at guys like, say, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin as like stolen valor, fake heroes? They came back. They played themselves off at these adventurers, these great explorers, and we know they're just fucking frauds. Do you look at them as like basically sellouts to humanity, but then on the flip side, you want to be the hero? You want to be the secret king? I'm trying to get into your psychology, man.
I can't really figure out any way to defend those astronaut guys.
Yeah. What do you think when you watch these ISS astronauts doing, somersaults, getting caught up in their wires and stuff, basically lying to small children for years on end? What's your thoughts about these people?
Well, I don't spend much time thinking about it. It's not really important. The main thing about improving the world is not changing governments. It's changing people to pay attention. And one of the top methods for that is people got to stop watching the media. And if they, keep looking at the ISS footage and the deceptive astronauts up there. They're not awake. I suppose those people are either compromised or corrupted, and I don't spend much time looking at them or thinking about them.
In some ways, your mindset may be healthy. In other ways, I wonder if your mindset is not, again, in some ways, ignorant, almost like you're burying your head in the sand. And almost like in a stubborn-like quality, a stubborn-like characteristic.
What do you say are
Go ahead.
What do you say are the odds of success going to the outer lands on airships? What's the probability of that statistically?
All right, you want me to be real with you and try to give you straight answers? Not funny.
You do what you do.
All right, here's what I would say first. One, I would say that you'd have to show me your methods. Now, going out and exploring Antarctica.
What about anybody?
All right, so what I would say is you would probably have to start with explorations to Antarctica. It would have to be a stepwise procedure where you go out, you try to go out there, you see what you can do with Antarctica, you map it out, you really kind of try to show what it is before you just commit to going beyond it, right? So why does it have to be a trip beyond the ice wall? Why can't it be southern exploration, right? Like, why is it just a trip beyond the ice wall? I think you'd have to establish. Go ahead.
I'll tell you why. If you plan a trip from your home to Chicago and somehow you decide you want to go to Los Angeles, you're already going. Just keep heading down the road.
And that's what worries me about your endeavor here is like, I'm wondering how much it's almost like you're embracing like a martyrdom, like a suicide mission. It's almost like there's a part of you that is almost lusting for that type of experience. And I don't think that would serve others in your crew. I don't know if that makes you the best captain. What do you think?
You may be right. Yeah, I could have a complex.
Yeah.
Maybe the great ones need that.
You know what I mean? It's like I look to you. It's like how much did you read like Captain Nemo and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and how much were you indoctrinated by like Star Trek and this like hero's journey, and like Flat Earth Eric's going to be like the hero that's going to show the world the lies of NASA. Like, let me ask you. Yeah, it's like unindoctrinated. It says talk him off the ledge, Z. I'm this is when I like when my listeners kind of get me, like, no, because unindoctrinated is like legit, man. The guy knows what's up. And this is when my listeners get me. And I think Jay was getting me yesterday too, where like, because I could easily indulge in this with you, Eric, but I'm kind of having a mindset. I'm kind of going in a different direction with you because I see a guy in you that may be evidencing some type of emotional distress that you've masked in a persona. And now this persona is expressing itself with some type of hero complex. And I know you recognize me as a serious flat earther, Eric, because like I said yesterday, we can recognize each other very quickly. So we see that in each other, and that's probably why you're here again. And that's why I'm hoping that like my conversations with you as we proceed can kind of like maybe go somewhere in a direction that like you might not have been expecting. All right. So Ryan wants me to talk you off the ledge. I think James was trying to get me to talk you off the ledge the other day. Now,
all right, let's look at that.
All right. So, all right, we are.
A guy on a ledge. A guy on a ledge might be trying to manipulate people inside the window. He might be trying to solve all his problems in a couple of minutes. I'm not doing any of that.
Our buddy David Weiss was talking about going to Antarctica, multiple points around the world, taking simultaneous readings of sun position, daylight time, let's say magnetic readings. We can do star readings using celestial planisphere models, and we can really go past the 60th south parallel latitude and take readings. But when you start talking about explorations to unknown lands that are supposed in very harsh territory that are currently being protected by the military, man, you're talking about a suicide mission in my book, dude. Is that?
Okay,
are you?
look, we know.
So I guess,
we
hold
know
on,
there's-
Eric. I'll give you the floor. I'm wondering if if you have a martyrdom psychology, if you're looking to be a martyr based off certain traumas and unresolved traumas in your life that you're not looking. Eric, you just may be in a fucking horrible marriage, and instead of just fucking, walking away from it, I don't want to project on you. You're just going to do a soft suicide where you're going to pretend to be a martyr, go out to the outer lands, and just fucking end it all, dude. If you're willing to kiss your wife goodbye and fucking go on into the outer realms, dude, there's got to be something to that, man. Happy people don't do that.
Okay, regarding the idea of suicide, we know there are many case histories of explorers going into completely unknown areas and very bad environments.
Well, do we
Antarctica-
know that, Eric? Do we know that? Because they gave you I don't want to scream at you, Eric, but I'm just in one of those, like I said, I think I'm like undergoing some type of transformation from a spider bite. Like I may right now be basically some kind of, I don't know, immortal. I'm just saying. But here's the point, Eric. You're going to assume that Christopher Columbus didn't know there was an America. That's a paradigm. Very likely, they always knew there was Americas. Christopher Columbus was just going to be the guy who was going to be the dupe who tells everybody that they discovered America. You're assuming explorers have gone into uncharted territories. We don't know that. I could present a story that they've had this whole realm mapped out since the very dawn of basically man. Who says they were going into uncharted realms, dude? They just told you that. They just told you that NASA will be just blasted up into the unknown of space, and Magellan was the first person to circumnavigate the globe. We don't know that, dude. I'm trying to basically break down your constructs and show you that they're very likely just ideas and beliefs, dude. Go ahead. Sorry.
I would never use Columbus as an example. You can think of the guy from Britain who went to Antarctica in the early 1900s, and his name starts with a C. I had it in my mind a second ago, but it slipped away. Chandler or something like that. I can't quite remember. And he was just a guy that figured out, he came out of this society, and it was time for him to figure out what was down there. And I'm not imitating anybody, but there's several expeditions that are fairly reliably documented that we can research about how folks went to places like the North Pole and the South and went to Antarctica and returned. Do you know the explorer I'm trying to refer to, the British guy?
Shackleton?
Yeah, that guy.
Right. Shout out to Matt Zilla. Go ahead.
Well, I would never use Columbus as an example because of corrupt history, but there's more recent examples of good documented exploration.
This is the baby truther stuff that I was trying to, because I get it. You know that you don't live on a globe because you know the globe is impossible. Eric, were you an engineer?
No, I wasn't. I'm not good at math.
All right. I was trying, because we were trying to talk yesterday. Here's my point, man. You kind of seem like a guy who's on your journey where you get it. You don't live in a globe because it's impossible based off all, known laws of physics. You and I could agree on that. But you kind of seem like a guy where you accept history as presented. Like you might still think that there was U.S. colonies that decided to rebel against the English crown, that America fought for its independence. You kind of maybe think that there was a guy named Jesus who existed 2,000 years ago, and he was a Jewish guy, and You know what I mean? You're probably buying the whole story like the Roman Empire, and I don't want to project onto you, man. I really don't know what you think, but my point is to you is that you likely still have a certain paradigm. Where's Stavely? Stavely's still here. Somebody's got to fucking help me out with this guy.
The nuclear missiles, right?
Yeah, like he probably still think nukes are real and stuff. It's like my impression of you, Eric, is that, and I like you a lot, dude. Is that you still have a paradigm. You still have an understanding through which your thoughts and actions are formed by that you're just not aware of. That's why when I asked you the other day if every human died, would Earth still exist? And you couldn't answer the question because you never thought about it. Because I'm wondering if you've examined your paradigm, the lens through which you view this world, because you're still caught up in, like you're accepting the AE model. You're accepting the Gleason's map as de facto reality. And I'm trying to paint a picture to you where this realm may be completely different. Like you're assuming that the sun is spinning around the central North Star point that we call the North Pole. You have accepted that model as de facto reality. And I'm trying to point out a reality to you where that may not be necessarily true. That we may be existing in a reality that is much more fluid, much more dynamic. There may be no material world as such. We may be making up this world as we go along.
All right, hold on. You're getting real far out on the edge.
I am getting far out as a guy who went home to shelf you. All right, hold on. I didn't kick you out. Just hold on, Eric. Hold on. Let me turn my camera on and talk to my audience. London man, I see you're here. London man. Maybe I'm just having one of those mornings. Like sometimes I just come on here and I turn the camera on. I'm like fucking lightheaded and I'm like, am I just going to pass out in front of everybody and just, is that going to be it? I'm going to put the link in the chat for anybody who wants to call. I love you, Eric. You might be one of my new favorite flat earthers. I don't know why I'm taking this cause up right now with Eric. I'm not even sure why I'm going down this angle with him. Maybe it's just where I am. Yeah, Jay, if you want to come back and talk to him again, let me talk to my audience here. Let me try to come with this. We may have an instinct inside of us when we get to a certain point in our understandings where we almost take on a Messiah savior complex, right? It almost becomes self-destructive. And I'm wondering if I'm not seeing this in Eric, where he's so disenchanted, disenfranchised with this realm, this world that he sees himself in, that he now is embarking on almost like a martyrdom journey where he's kind of given up. So he's such a son of a, you know why, Eric? Because what I'm really doing is the reason I could see this in you is because I could see it in myself. I know you, good sir, because I know me. So I'm really just looking in the mirror and speaking to myself through your experience. Because I could kind of go here and go along with your story because it's interesting. And I think it'd be kind of cool to do what you're doing. But I want to rein it in a little bit. I want to really explore the psychology behind your notions and your understandings because I think it's going to help people and it may help me. Or I just could be delusional because I come on here day after day and I do this and it's absolutely absurd and insane. Now, so as I sit here and I try to decide why am I going down this particular course of thought with you, Mr. Flat Earth Eric, and as I try to get to the basis of it, I'm coming to this thought. Is that you might be a guy that's just maybe depressed. And have you looked into it, man? Has your flat earth awakening, has your discovery of the lies, let's not even call it flat earth. You're on to the lies of this realm. Once you realize the magnitude of the lie, there's a natural tendency to experience emotions that come along with that. It's fucking scary. Have you, in some way, Mr. Flat Earth Eric, ignored your emotions? Have you shelved your experience and now have just developed a hard shell, a defense mechanism persona that now you're going to spring into action? Because there's a tendency when we deal with tragedy, instead of absorbing the tragedy, instead of dealing with that and processing the trauma, we kick into a state of action. And now you say, fuck it. Now I'm going to show you what I know, and I'm going to be the guy who tells everybody that there's more land.
Listen, the stuff you suggest about me may be true, but it's very introspective, and it's probably about you anyway.
Well, it may be, because how could anyone know another without knowing themselves first?
You tell me.
Well, it kind of was a rhetorical question. You never had kids, did you, Eric? It seems like you didn't have kids.
No, we couldn't get that done.
All right. I'm not asking for, you see, people give too many details. Oh, now I got to ask, why not? Was it you or was it her?
She's older than me, and we married late, and she had fertility issues.
And you stayed together, huh?
It's almost it's 38 years.
If you can go back, would you get married again?
What I know now?
Yeah, just say no. Just be honest.
I'd have 6 wives.
Right, thank you.
At
least
once.
You're being honest.
At one time.
At least you're being honest. A lot of guys want to see other men just go down the same.
This marriage thing is brainwashing from the rulers. Men should have multiple families. Polygamy is the right approach. Just imagine right now, Owen Benjamin's got a magnificent setup, and his wife can't have any more children because of her blood pressure or something like that. He should have 3 more new wives and start raising kids.
I mean, I don't disagree with that in terms of the polygamy and stuff. It seems like more of a natural state of man. Are you picturing okay, so I'm going to go in your head. I'm picturing Eric. Your fantasy is you get on your airship. You make your way out to the outer lands, the Iron Republic. You land. You're like, I know it. See, now I know you. You're going to picture that they're going to greet you almost like, look, I know you're laughing because you know this is what you're thinking. They're going to greet Eric as some kind of demigod who's shows up. You're going to be like a hero. And then I don't know, the village, the chief of the tribe is going to give you his daughters and stuff. And then you're going to have your multiple wives out there in the outer realms in the Iron Republic. I know that's what you're thinking, Eric.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that. I expect before we launch that we'll get all kinds of flight instructions from people from already over there.
Wait, say that again, dude. You're fucking crazy, bro.
But yeah, before we launch, we're going to get contacted by those folks that are out there so that we can achieve the mission.
How do you expect to do that?
Well, they'll just get in touch with us. They're probably hanging around here keeping tabs on us.
Who says they want us out there? Who you think they want Eric showing up with Zetetic Warrior and Dave Weiss in a fucking airship?
It's just like you. You want people to be healthy and have a good life. They're no different than that.
Shouldn't we send other people out there beyond the wall? Why you, Eric? Shouldn't we pick people that maybe are a little bit more physically fit, a little bit more appropriate for the trip?
Yeah, the whole thing doesn't depend on me. I'm just trying to start something. The thing is, what they say is nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. I can't run a podcast and talk for hours a day, but I can fool around with this, and I'm doing it.
You're a serious guy, Eric. I'm trying to loosen you up, dude. You're like a serious dude. I guess you have to be if you're going to organize a fucking expedition across the ice wall.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, you must be a pickle in real life. Bring us into your day, Eric. What do you do when you wake up in the morning? What's the first thing you do? You go, you smoke a cigarette, you drink some coffee. Come on, bring us into your world.
Yeah, that's it.
All right? You smoke a cigarette, you drink some coffee, and what?
I got some channels that I look at on the phone, and then I listen to podcasts.
Oh, my God. Eric, you must be one of the most boring fucks ever, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Absolutely.
And that what? Then you spend most of your time trying to avoid that wife of yours. You know, it's
She's
weird.
not well. She's not
Yeah.
well. I do her caretaking, but right now she's in a recovery place for physical rehab. So she's not even here.
Sorry to hear that, Eric. Did she participate in any of the medical procedures over the last 3 years, good sir?
Yeah, there
Be
was
honest. Be honest.
there was a compulsory injection for one of the hospital visits.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. This is a big issue in these times, Eric, is these, marriages where the one spouse has gone in one direction and the other spouse, I don't know. Have you
It wasn't like
participated?
that. It was
Did you-
involuntary.
Yeah, well, why didn't you go in there and raise hell? Why is that doctor still alive, Eric? I'm not advocating violence here, but if that really happened, why the fuck did it happen?
Well, life has its own course, and we live in this realm. Things happen because of their own reason. She's got her own life. She's got a long history of illness. If I was gonna clean up something like you suggest with the doctor, I would pick a better target.
Like Morgan says, he said it's called murder.
There's other terms for it, but whatever.
This is going to trigger my audience. I know it is. Did you participate in the medical procedures the last 3 years, Eric?
I did not.
All right, so you didn't, but your wife did. What's your thoughts,
It was compulsory. It was involuntary.
Well, that's illegal.
For years,
dude.
For years, she agreed
that's
with me not to get.
law,
For
right?
years, she agreed with me not to get flu shots.
Okay. What do you mean it was compulsory? What do you mean by that?
She had an emergency visit to the hospital, and they wouldn't let her stay without a shot.
This is the world we live in. This is unfucking believable.
Could be worse.
My Canadian friend Lubas says he's wondering if indeed you just kind of wanted her knocked off out of the way so you can move on to your harem that you want to have with your Iron Republic ladies. What do you think
It's
about
not a harem. It's polygamy.
that?
I can barely hear him.
Right. So you obviously have hearing loss. Hold on. I want to put you in the back, Morgan. See, Morgan made a really good fucking statement, and you're deaf ass. Do you know smoking leads to hearing loss? You know how I know that? Oh, I don't know.
I heard that.
Yeah.
That's a
You're-
joke.
You're deaf as fuck, dude. You know that. I noticed that yesterday. That's why you didn't want me to play the music in the background as people were talking.
That's right.
You realize it. You realize
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You're probably overweight too. You probably have metabolic syndrome. You're probably pre-diabetic. You probably have the beginning stages of high blood pressure, congenital heart disease. And you want to be my captain across the airship, Eric?
I don't care if you get on that ship or not.
You're a fucking mess. You're a fucking
Some
mess.
people
here
say
in
I
front
drink
of
too
us.
much.
I bet you do. What's your drink of choice as we get to know you here?
Beer.
Yeah, I like beer myself, Eric. What if you get to the Iron Republic and there's no beer out there?
I wish.